warm-up. You can never go wrong at 7:30 in the morning with Jackson 5. That's a request by Charlie Baker, by the way. Thank you. That was great this morning. Thank you for requesting that. Absolutely. Governor Charlie Baker is in the house. We've got Mayor Walsh in the house. We've got a whole host of people here today. And we are here ready to roll, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alberto Vasallo from El Mundo newspaper. My job is to keep this very entertaining, keep the fun going, and I promise you, I will not bore you. That's Marty Walsh's job. We're just getting started. He just said, we'll see, we'll see. So for those of you who've been here before, this is a new venue. Who's here for the first time? A lot of newbies, so you have no idea what's coming, right? Who didn't pay? Who's going here for a free meal? You're going to get the show, you're going to get what you paid for. Like, I shouldn't have said that, yeah. All right, but why are we here? We're also here to honor Felix Arroyo. Where is Felix Arroyo? No, the father. Felix, sit down. The father. You know, how could we have an event honoring Felix the father and of course not have Felix Jr. here? No, I really mean it. How can we do it and not have him here, because he's here every single year? So Felix, both of you, thank you for coming. We're also here to honor a great organization and a great school, Cristo Rey Boston High School. It's just we'll have more on them later. I know they're in the house as well, and doing a lot for our community and the community in general. They're tucked away right there in Dorchester. They have an incredible history and an incredible track record of helping our community, and more on that later. We're also going to honor our corporate partner, Tufts Health Plan. Tom is in the house as well. But we're actually here, honestly, on a serious note, to honor National Hispanic Heritage Month and to honor all of the many contributions and achievements that we as a community over the last century and more, historians will obviously tell you more, but at least for me in the city of Boston, since I was born here and many are in the room, the incredible advances we've made just over the last couple of decades, over the last few years, and we're also going to talk a lot about the future, as we will tell you about El Mundo's next project, which is a Latino 30 under 30, but more on that later. So I'm going to start let me introduce the head table, and I'm going to introduce with my very good Facebook friend, our governor, our beloved governor, Charlie Baker is in the house. Charlie, thank you for coming. Also a very good friend who hopefully will have a good sense of humor, our city's mayor, Marty Walsh. Marty is in the house. We have, to Governor Baker's right, Tom Croswell, who is not only a great civic leader here, but he is also representing, obviously, Tufts Health Plan, our corporate partner, but an organization that does a lot of good. We'll hear a lot about him. Tom Croswell. I'm going to go to my left over here because this is a very personal and special guest. Earlier this year at Fenway, Sam helped me, did the honors, and I was honored about that. Roberto Clemente is a name that is synonymous with many incredible stuff on and off the baseball field. And I am very proud to say that today marks the 44th anniversary of Roberto Clemente's last hit as a major leaguer in regular season, which was his 3,000th hit, which was his last hit before perishing. And today we have a special ceremony at Fenway Park, giving a formal farewell to David Ortiz, so the Clemente family's in town. And because of that, we have a great representative, one of his three sons, a great friend of mine, Luis Clemente, is in the house. To Tom's right, and I mentioned him a little while ago, I say the most famous Kennedy family in Boston, and he believes it. The president of the Boston Red Sox and a great friend, and he has some words in a little while. Sam Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. To Louis' left, we have a young woman who has broken down many, many barriers, and we'll talk a little about them later. She is the president of the Boston City Council, the youngest to ever hold a position in that body. Michelle Wu, ladies and gentlemen. Over back on my right, someone who looks much, much taller on Facebook, but I really thought she was tall, and then, but one of the youngest to be elected. Stop right there. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not married. You got to teach me some tricks later. She threw me off with Judith Garcia of the Chelsea City Council is here. If we're going to talk about height, we got to go in the other direction, right? A guy I really look up to, not because what he does, he's just so tall, I always got to look up to him. Chancellor of UMass Boston, Keith Motley, ladies and gentlemen. And last but certainly not least, someone very special and close to the El Mundo family's heart, someone who 10 years ago was our intern, someone who we met through her veteran services. She was a Marine, she was a model, and she was an El Mundo intern. She helped us with the El Mundo Family Festival the first year. Earlier this year, she threw out the first pitch at Fenway Park. Today, she's representing the city's, she's the Commissioner of Veteran Service for the City of Boston, Giselle Sterling, ladies and gentlemen, a veteran of Afghanistan. So we're going to kick things off with Marty and the governor. But before we go, you know, I just want to make a special note of the mayor being here. And I love that the mayor, if you've read last couple of days, he's thinking of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, right, is being renamed. You know, they want to kind of show a little bit more how city government works, so they're changing a few of the names. So Mayor, I know you call me for advice all the time. So I'm going to offer some free advice. This is from the El Mundo crack staff at the thing. They think that there's a couple renaming you should do. I think it would be very appropriate. For example, the Boston 2024 Olympic Committee will now be known as the I Was Only Kidding Committee. I know Charlie would like that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grand Prix, he's getting it now. The Grand Prix tour, the racing that was going to happen, that one he's renaming as the No, I'm Really Kidding Now. And the Boston City Council, sorry about this, the You Gotta Be Kidding Committee. So those are three good names that I want you to take. All right. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start this off with Charlie Baker. And Charlie, I want you to come up here for a second because you're going to be our first speaker. And Charlie Baker, we're going to do this with a little song because Charlie, we had a lunch what was it, right before 4th of July, and I said, Charlie, you know, your story come out, you're the third most popular governor in the country. And by the way, with some politicians here, with Arroyo and Diaz and Garcia and Wu, I think you're in the room, you're about the 5th most popular. But anyways, in the country, he's the 3rd most popular governor, and I said, how do you do it? And then I quote you not, I was sitting there and I said, he must be a big Taylor Swift fan. He said, Alberto, players gonna play, haters gonna hate. And then he said, and look, I'm just gonna shake it off. And that's Charlie Baker for you. I'm gonna shake it off. Shake it off.
One of the things I love about Alberto is he leaves me absolutely no place to go. First of all, I just want to welcome you all here and to tell you how much I appreciate this event. And I know I speak for everybody at the head table and those who've been to it before. It's so nice to see that this event continues to grow and to get bigger and bigger each year. And that, I think, is a real tribute. I kind of hate to say this because it means I have to say something really nice about Alberto, but congratulations to Armando and to you for turning this into really a very special and sort of significant event here in the city of Boston. And Luis, to you, how many people here are over the age of 50? Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay. What the rest of you need to understand is that Roberto Clemente was truly one of the greatest baseball players of all time and probably the greatest right fielder of all time. And he was beyond a gentleman. I mean, anybody who ever spent any time around this guy couldn't help but come away with just a deep sense of of his humanity and the kind of person he was. And the fact that he died on a plane that was delivering supplies to a torn country, I just think speaks to some extent to the size of his heart. And I got to tell you that for me, having a chance to say that to you as the son of Roberto Clemente is actually a moving moment for me, because I was such a huge fan of him, not just as a ball player, but of the kind of person he was. So God bless, okay? Now, I know I'm supposed to stand there and tell a bunch of jokes. I'm going to leave that up to Alberto, because he's really good at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell a story. 13 years ago, early summer 2003, Harvard Pilgrim, which is where I was working at the time, was one of the sponsors of, along with El Mundo, their Latin Youth Recognition Night, which took place several nights over the course of the year in Boston. And this was done in conjunction with the folks at the Red Sox. I think you've been doing it for 20 years, 21 years. And so what it meant was they would bring a bunch of kids who'd been recognized by their peers and by their teachers and by coaches and others from a variety of communities all over the city, several nights to Fenway Park for a pregame celebration on the field where they get a chance to meet some of the players and some of the sponsors for the program. And Harvard Pilgrim was one of the sponsors, so I was there. And I'm out there on the field, I'm with Alberto, and he's like 14 at the time. And this big hulking guy with a big grin, who I've never seen before, comes out onto the field to say hello to the kids and participate in some of the pictures and all the rest. And it was David Ortiz, who literally had been traded to the Boston Red Sox about 3 weeks before this event. And met him, said hello. The two things I remember is, first of all, when he shook my hand, his fingers went up to about here. And the second thing I remember was, you know, he is a bear of a guy. I'm not exactly small, but I felt tiny next to him. And the other thing I noticed was how much he liked and enjoyed those kids, and how much those kids liked and enjoyed him. And this was before he was Big Papi. He was just David Ortiz, the new guy on the team. And I remember walking, and then I spent the night basically running around Fenway Park with Alberto, and I got to see all kinds of parts of Fenway that I'd never seen before. But I remember thinking that night, what a nice guy. And little did I know what the next 13 years with that nice guy would be all about here in Boston. I got asked earlier by one of the reporters what I thought about the fact that this is David Ortiz's last weekend, and I said, look, there's probably no player in Red Sox history who's more important than David Ortiz. All right? Without David Ortiz, we don't win 3 World Series. It's that simple. But in addition to that, that guy that I met that day, that nice guy, that unpretentious person, in 2003, 13 years ago, okay? He has been just an enormously special presence throughout the course of his career in so many ways. He is certainly a role model for athletes generally and for public figures. But his commitment to the community, his commitment to kids, and the way he carries himself and the presence that he's brought to everything he's done in this city, I really believe is going to be almost impossible for anybody else to duplicate. And so we ended up having this big conversation about, well, his last game is on Sunday. What can we do to recognize and express our appreciation for who he is and what he's done? And so we talked about a whole bunch of ideas. Like, one of the ideas I had was, well, maybe what we should do is out there on the turnpike behind left field in Fenway Park, we should put like a baseball graveyard where David Ortiz's home runs go to die. Literally like right out there in between the inbound traffic and the outbound traffic, to have a big field with little gravestones for various David Ortiz home runs and all the rest. And somebody pointed out to me, well, he's a righty, so most of his home runs go over the center field, and the right field, he doesn't hit a lot over the left field fence. And I thought, boy, what a nerd. So that idea got squelched, and then we talked about, well, maybe we could rename one of the stations after him, one of the subway stations. And when we realized that it would literally cost us like $3 million to reprint and redistribute all of the stuff that's out there associated with the stations, we said, well, that's probably a little more than the taxpayers would want to spend on something like this. So we started talking about, well, maybe we could just, on one of the overpasses that heads to Fenway Park, we could name that after him, just name the overpass after him, because of course every bridge in Boston is named already after somebody. And so then we got talking about that, and I said, well, go find out about that overpass that goes over the turnpike, Brookline Ave, that everybody walks over to go to a baseball game. Find out if maybe we could name that overpass after him. And people came back a couple days later and they said, actually, that's like the one bridge in Boston that isn't named after anyone. I was like, you're kidding. I mean, this is almost like a divine intervention. Like, that bridge was named after somebody at some point, and then all of a sudden, somehow it's not. And I said, so you're telling me that if we can get the legislature to work with us and pass legislation that enables this to occur, we could name the bridge that everybody who walks to a Red Sox game walks over when they walk over the turnpike from Kenmore Square up Brookline Ave and turn the corner into Fenway Park. We could name that bridge after Big Papi? And the answer was yes. And so on Sunday, that bridge is going to be named the David Ortiz Big Papi Bridge. And I just... And since we all know that Alberto thinks the universe spins around him, okay? I just want to close by saying that trip to that bridge being named after David Ortiz all began with an El Mundo event, Latino Youth Recognition at Fenway Park, where I had the opportunity to meet a really nice guy named David Ortiz. Hope you all have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you very, very much. I didn't know that story about the bridge, so that's kind of like breaking news, which is really good, and that's great. So our next speaker, I want to kind of keep things moving along, is our great mayor of Boston. I kid him a lot and everything. And, of course, there's one more joke. So, Marty, I want you to come up here for me, because we're going to do a dedication. I know that you had your differences with the Wynn Casino, but you've gone. Everything is all fine and dandy.
Love each other now.
Love each other, and I know you love.
Are they here?
They're here. So we're gonna dedicate. This is from. Yeah, they're here. They're here. I know you're here. You don't have to put your hand up. But this song goes out to you from Marty Walsh.
Is it too late now to say sorry? 'Cause I'm missing more than just your body. Oh, is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say sorry?
Thank you, Wynn Casino. It's great to be here. I want to thank Alberto, and I want to thank him for inviting 1,000 of his closest friends to the Alberto Love Me Party. It is great to be here. I want to thank all the community leaders. I want to thank head table guests for being here as well. Congratulations, Sam Kennedy. Sam Kennedy, first year as president of the Red Sox, first AL championship. And his big job in the offseason is to convince Big Papi not to retire. I want to give a shout out to a few people that are here. We have Chief Willie Gross in the Boston Police Department. Chief Green from the MBTA Police Department. I saw Sheriff of Suffolk County walking around there. He's campaigning for something these days. Sheriff Steve Tompkins, where are you? I see Matt O'Malley, I think, out there. Matt O'Malley, welcome here. I can't really see your faces. And if I see you, I'll jump out. I can't really see other people. So the lights are strong. I think Alberto turns them on so no one else, so to make them look good up here. Hispanic heritage is a big part of Boston, as you all know. Just to be serious for a minute. This event really is a sign of Boston's growth in the Latino community. My first time coming to this breakfast, it was during the mayor's race, and I was horrified because I had to speak in front of everybody. And at that point, it was down to the final. And I walked in, and John Conley was sitting up the front, who's my friend, and I'm walking in, I'm thinking, oh, this is a bag job. I don't know what I'm going to do here. And the only thing that made me feel good is I knew I was a little funnier than John, so I got up here and tried to make fun of myself. But it truly is a strength. And when you think about in city leadership alone, the leadership of the Latino community within the administration, the largest office under the cabinet of the mayor is Health and Human Services, and Felix Arroyo, young Felix Arroyo, is the chair, the committee chief of Health and Human Services. So I want to congratulate Felix. We have. He was outside, so Alberto, he's all upset. He missed that introduction. He come running in the room now. I'll do it again. Yeah, I'll do it again later. We have Senator Sonia Chang Diaz with us. I see Senator Sonia Chang Diaz. We also, as you know, when I took over as mayor, we had the Office of New Bostonians, and the office was did some things around New Bostonians, and I appointed somebody who's an incredible advocate. We've not only changed the name of the office, but we've changed the complete mission of the office, and we have the Office of Immigrant Advancement, and Alejandra Sanquian is here. I want to thank Alejandra. We're helping people on pathways to citizenship. It's something that's really important. Even though that Congress and the Senate can't get together and pass immigration reform, we are helping prepare people who right now are undocumented to become citizens in the country. And it's important for us. That office is going to continue to work with immigrants so we can get them on a pathway to citizenship. We have the best Veterans Commission. We had a Veterans Commissioner in the city of Boston. You might have heard about him, Francisco Ureno. I think he's here somewhere. And when I took over as mayor, I said, you know, Francisco, it's time for you to move on. I gave him to the governor. I moved up the best Secretary of Veterans Commissioner in the country, right over here, Giselle Sterling. The governor just said, that's not how I remember it. Well, it's in Boston, just so we get a fact of what's going on in the city of Boston, 19% of our residents are Latino. 16% of our residents speak Spanish at home. The Dominican Republic is our #1 source of foreign-born residents. I'm sure there's a few Dominicans in the room. There's more than that in the room. And we also have, it's also #1 for Baseball Hall of Fame, as far as Dominicans into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I am proud to represent a city that's so diverse. I am proud to be able to go around the country and talk about the differences in our city. I'm proud to say what we're doing in our city. Every aspect of our city, the Latino community, is very involved in city government, but also in the state government, and continually to be there. I want to thank all of you, particularly the older people in this room, who came to this country and you didn't understand the language, you didn't understand the culture, and you worked hard to help build this country and build this city and adapt to that change. And I know that firsthand because my mother and father come from a different country as well. And it's difficult to come to this country. We're having race dialogues right now in the city of Boston, and we're beginning to have those conversations around different neighborhoods. And as we have those conversations, there was a gentleman in this room who pointed out to us, we were really focused on race in Boston. And what we didn't really focus on, not that we didn't focus purposely, but we were really thinking about the immigrants coming to the country. And Felix Arroyo, Sr., actually was the person who pointed out and saying, as we talk about race in Boston, let's not forget the people who weren't born here and who might not know the history of America and might not know the history of Boston. And Felix Arroyo said to me and said to us that we need to start thinking and making sure that we incorporate the immigrant community into that conversation. I want to thank you, Felix, for that. And I want to thank the immigrant community for all that you do for our city every single day. In the city of Boston, we're not about pointing fingers. We're about opening up doors and allowing people in. This isn't a Trump rally. This is how do we get people in the country. I want to congratulate the governor as well for naming the bridge David Ortiz Way Bridge. Governor, I think it's a great idea. I am actually kind of pissed because you one-upped us, and I'll have to think about it Sunday. But I'm a little surprised that you're able to get it to the legislature so fast and on your desk for signing. So congratulations on that accomplishment. Never mind the Ortiz Way. There's a couple of recognitions being given today, and I want to congratulate all the people who are being recognized today for your great work. I want to do 2 shout-outs. One is to Cristo Rey Boston. That's an incredible school. When that school was in North Cambridge, I went over and visited that school. They were looking for a new home, and I'm proud to say they moved to Savin Hill, Dorchester. So Cristo Rey, congratulations. And I want to give special thanks to Felix D. Arroyo, a true path breaker in social justice and civic participation. He was the first Latino in our city to run citywide, and he got elected to the Boston City Council. I didn't know him back then that well, but a mutual friend of ours, actually 2 mutual friends, Liz Malia and Kevin Fitzgerald, called me up and said, we need you to sit down with this man. And he's running for city council. He has an incredible resume. So I had a chance to sit down with Felix back then, and we sat down, we had a conversation. I was a state rep at the time, and I endorsed him. I didn't know who he was. I endorsed him. We started to get involved. I endorsed him because of his resume, because I saw him, an immigrant that came to this country, that was raising a family, that was a member of the school committee, member of government, member of everything he did was about helping people. And I was proud to support him then. Since that time, he has held many positions in government. And after I became mayor of the city of Boston, well, I have to tell you this one story. So when I was running for mayor of Boston, obviously Felix was running, and I didn't call Felix, but I saw him. I said, I'd love to have your support, but I know you. He goes, I'd be with you if my son wasn't in the race. I said, well, thank you. I said, but after the primary, Felix D. Arroyo, both Felix Arroyos, but Felix D. Arroyo was working 13, 14 hours a day for me, for mayor. He was talking to the elders in the community. He was walking the streets. He's a man that, regardless of what cause it is, it doesn't necessarily mean me for mayor, but whatever cause it was, he believes in it. And he fought extremely hard for everything in his life. And he raised an unbelievable family. He was the first person that I endorsed after being elected mayor. I was proud to do that as Register of Probate, which, again, he's the first Latino to win a county-wide election in Massachusetts. Felix Arroyo is breaking down the barriers. He's making sure he's leading the way. He didn't have to run for that office. He didn't need the money. He didn't need that office. But he ran for that office, and he broke down more barriers. So when you think about young Latinos in the room here today, you think about, your career, whatever it might be. This gentleman, Felix Arroyo, has broken down more barriers for you single-handedly than most people. We talk about all the big names. Big Papi, we love Big Papi. We love Pedro Martinez. We love Roberto Clemente. But on a little bit of a quieter side, somebody who has politically opened doors is Felix D. Arroyo. And I'd like to Felix, you don't have to come up here, but I'd just like to, I couldn't find a bridge in the city of Boston for Felix. I looked everywhere. I searched high and low, and they're all named except for the one near Fenway Park. So what we decided to do was something a little different. Felix can put this on his car, and wherever he goes, it's Felix D. Arroyo Way. Thank you very much.
Right there. Ladies and gentlemen, our mayor, and I'm going to have Felix stay up here now, because let's get this up. I don't want to get political now as we're all eating here, having a great breakfast, but this is the 7th annual Hispanic Heritage Breakfast, or if Donald Trump wins, the Last Supper, ladies and gentlemen. So just, I've got my disciples over here. I know who's gonna betray me 3 times. All right, so wait, Felix, don't leave because we have a contemporary of yours, and I want him to do this now that he's here, because Felix is getting old. I don't want him to keep going up and down the stairs, so let's do this once. Jorge Quiroga, ladies and gentlemen, last year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. I want him to honor Felix right now that we have the mayor and the governor. So Jorge Quiroga, if you're here making your way up, for over 40 years, Channel 5, last year's Lifetime Recipient Award. And let's do this the right way with Jorge up here. In the meantime, I also want to give a very special shout out, ladies and gentlemen, with everything that's going on in the country. We have some very special law enforcement guests. Boston Police Department Superintendent-in-Chief William Gross is here. William, where are you? He's here at the table. Actually, all of you at the table. We've got Chelsea. Chief of Police Brian Keyes is here. Everett, Chief of Police Stephen Mazzi. Thank you, Chief. MBTA Transit Police Chief Kenny Green. And Captain Kelly McCormick of East Boston as well. So thank you, and I know Steve Tompkins is here, who's also in law enforcement and our sheriff, so thank you very much for coming. So, having said that, I now give it to a real professional in the media, Jorge Quiroga.
I'm not sure about the professional part, but buenos días, mi gente. ¿Cómo están? You know, I came, some of you know the story, I came from Colombia. Luckily, my mother was Puerto Rican, so soy Colo Rico. When I came to Boston, when I came to Puerto Rico, of course, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I saw myself as Puerto Riqueño. Of course, I came to Boston, and went to school, went to Harvard. All of a sudden, the puertorriqueño said, no, tú eres colombiano. That's when I said, you know what, I'm Colo Rico. But it's an incredible pleasure and honor to introduce or to honor as well an old friend. You know, Felix is was a very precocious young boy. You know, he has this thing, I don't know, it became in his DNA that he always had to be the first at everything. Started when he was in grade school, I understand. He always had to be the first in line. Every morning, whatever it was, to go to recess first in line, get to school first in line, and he was very obsessed about it. Finally, his mother said, Felix, es porque tu apellido comienza con una A. They put you first in line. But that did not deter him. That did not deter Felix, because he insisted and persisted in that sense of accomplishment. So he became the first in his family to graduate from college from the University of Puerto Rico. A lot of his accomplishments have already been mentioned. There's so many that we wrote them down. Some of them the mayor has already gone through. But just in case anybody forgets who we are honoring today, a terrific member of this city, a terrific contributor to the life and history and politics of the city. Felix, in 2003, was elected to the Boston City Council. He was the first Latino to serve. Trust me, I'm on the other side of the microphone. I'm not supposed to take sides. I was very proud. Felix also founded the Latino Democratic Committee, the first statewide Latino political organization in Massachusetts. A longtime resident of Boston, Felix spent his youth growing up in public housing in Puerto Rico, raised by his father, Felicito Arroyo, a World War II veteran, and his late mother, Elisa. As I mentioned, he was the first in his family to graduate from college and go on to Harvard University and MIT. For more than 40 years, Felix has built an unmatched legacy and record of serving the community. He taught at Springfield College, UMass Boston, Roxbury Community College, Boston University, and Emmanuel College, and has been an active advocate and board member of virtually every large Latino social service agency and nonprofit in the region. A beloved and admired role model for many who have come after him in the Latino community, Arroyo is also the very proud father of Felix G. Arroyo, the only other Latino to serve in the Boston City Council and the current Chief of Health and Human Services for the City of Boston. Currently, Felix holds another first. As mentioned, he is the first Latino elected Suffolk County Register of Probate and Family Court serving Boston, Chelsea, Revere, and Winthrop. With this long and illustrious career in the public eye, it is probably safe to say that nobody else has been mentioned more in El Mundo than Felix Arroyo. He's got, if you look up his Wikipedia, 2/3 of it is all the articles from El Mundo. But sincerely and honestly and from the bottom of my heart, it is great honor for me to introduce this year's recipient of the Hispanic Heritage Breakfast Lifetime Achievement Award honoree. Please, everybody, stand up. Let's give this man a real round of applause, Felix Arroyo. Los dos viejos de Boston. Y vamos al mismo barbero. We also go to the same barber.
Yeah. And we never...
Aquí.
I'm not sure you saw this already, but if you saw it, I don't care. I want you to see it again. First of all, I want to commend Albertico, because there is a previous Alberto that I want to recognize as well. Albertico have made an important contribution to our community. He's a bridge, as you are, Mr. Mayor. You said you couldn't find a bridge, but you are our bridge in this city, and we appreciate that. Albertico is a very diplomatic person, you know. He was able to put the governor at one side of the podium and the mayor at the other side of the podium and have them in the same event without any kind of discussion. And I appreciate that. Because both of them are respectable and appreciated by our community. We have our difference. For example, the governor said that Roberto Clemente is one of the best players in baseball. I had to correct him. He is the best player in baseball.
I didn't say he was the best right fielder.
Yeah, well, I have to, he's telling me he said he was the best right fielder. Well, that's part of it. He's still in our hearts across the nation, and we still want that 21 to be retired from baseball, because Roberto deserved it. One of the things that I also noticed, and I'm sure that was not in purpose, that the governor is at my right and the mayor is at my left. Thank you, Alberto. I am totally in love with democracy. I think democracy allows us to really do a full participation regardless of our concepts and ideas. It will only be fulfilled if we speak our minds, always, regardless of some people liking us and some people not. Because after all, what you have to be mindful of is that you have to like yourself. And you can only like yourself if you are truthful to yourself. Democracy allows us to do that. That's why I believe strongly on it, and I believe in speaking my mind. So even with that, I want to say also about Alberto, there are 3 big events. This is one of them, and keep growing. I don't know where you will have us in 5 years from now. As a matter of fact, this is supposed to be a lifetime award. I hope to be here in 20 years again receiving a lifetime award. And I hope, Alberto, that you'll still be here and able to do this event. But Alberto would not have been able to be this creative, creating this event that bridged our community with the main community in Massachusetts. Also, he developed the career fair, recognizing that it's important to put the business and those who are looking for employment together. And I think that was a challenge, both to our community and to the business community, to integrate the talent that is in our community within their particular business. Thank you for that, too. And on top of that, he didn't stop there. In the Fenway, he loved baseball, we all know that, but he made sure that young children were recognized at the Fenway, many of them going to a game for the first time, thanks to Alberto and El Mundo. We're grateful for that. I want to mention the father. Alberto Vasallo came here in difficult times for him and his family, and saw the need to have a means of communication for all of us. And against all obstacles, he developed it for free, to make sure that every week we had an opportunity to see what was going on that could impact the Latino community. Alberto has continued that tradition. But Alberto Vasallo, Father, thank you. I remember one, Alberto Vasallo, father, told me that there was one time where he was afraid the paper would not come out because there was a storm, big storm, and there was not a car that he can use to bring the plates of the paper to be printed. So he walked to the place. And they had to sit down, Alberto, and hit him in the face and put his hands in warm water because it was almost freezing. But the paper came out that week. Thank you, Alberto. I had to mention David Ortiz. I don't know if you saw that camouflage. He used to be on a card and talk to people, and people didn't notice that it was David Ortiz. I don't know. They were not Latinos. We recognize him. However, he presents himself. But one thing that I admire beside his career is that being here a lot less years than me, he has no accent. He speaks English perfectly, and I'm still struggling with it. I think that is a part of my psyche that say, don't stop being Latino, even in speaking English. I don't recommend it. I think that people should be able to speak any language that they encounter in a perfect. I'm trying to learn Portuguese now, and I think it's important for us to keep doing that. But learn English very well and teach others to do so, because it's a language that is important to us also as a bridge. So I want to leave it there, but I want to recognize the Latino elected officers that are in the room. Would you please stand up and let people see you? I don't know if you know it, but that is growing. Right now, in Chelsea, the big majority of elected officers in the city council are Latinos. And in Holyoke and Springfield, there are Latinos in a lot of positions that they were not before. Actually, I want to recognize that Diaz Chang is, Sonia is the first senator we have, as a Latina, in this legislative body. And she's definitely making us proud. And I have to recognize that Jeffrey Sanchez is the first member of the leadership in the House of Representatives, because he's the chair of a House committee, and he's here with us as well. I never intended to be the first in anything, but I'm glad that there is a first. I don't want to be the last one, please, in any of those positions. I hope that more people run for office. I hope that more people register to vote. I hope that more people study the candidates before they vote and make a decision based on positions and issues that affect your life and that of others, because it is important. Our democracy needs you. You should be a participant, and we need to make sure that everybody who's able to vote in our community is a participant in elections. Thank you.
We'll get a little photo up with Charlie. Felix, a standing ovation, please. Typical Felix, he did not make his speech about himself. He gave everybody in the room credit but himself.
Tito Jackson, I missed him.
And Tito Jackson is here as well. Tito, the standing ovation is not for you. But let's get a photo with these. In the meantime, while we get a little photo up over here with Charlie and Felix, I'm going to ask you guys to move a little bit over here so you guys can do your little photo op. I do want to recognize a few more folks in the room. So Manny Lopes of East Boston Neighborhood Health Center, CEO, is here. Where's Viva East Boston? We also have, I know someone mentioned Sonia Chang Diaz, right? Where is Sonia? I saw her a little bit right over there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of greatness. Not you, Sonia. Her father is here. And if you don't know who her father is, ladies and gentlemen, her father, and we want to definitely make notice that he's here. Franklin Ramon Chang Diaz, a mechanical engineer, physicist, and veteran of 7 space shuttle missions, making him in 2014 was a record holder for the most space flights, a record he shares. He was the 3rd Latino in space. I want to be the 4th. And Chang Diaz is also a member of the NASA Astronaut Hall of Fame, studied at MIT. Please take a bow, please. That is a great story. I have news for you. I have news for you. The next event that we have, the Latino 30 under 30, Felix Barajas. Where's Felix Barajas? She gave us, and I'm not one of the judges, we have 12 judges, one of the most amazing nominees. They brought it to us. So there is apparently a young lady who's about 27, 28 at the MIT Lincoln lab who is a finalist. She's a top 100 amongst 200,000 to be the first, forget Latina, the first woman on Mars. So she's one of the 30 under 30 that we have her here in Boston. You'll get to meet her November 12th. So I want you and her together soon, Franklin. Okay, thank you. I know, Mayor, you've got to run. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Felix. Thank you. Marty, you can stay, or you got to go, whatever you want to do. All right, quick. He can go, stay. He already spoke, so I don't care.